Hey everyone, it's Tommy from the Goalie Crease Network, and today we're looking at the CCM Extreme Flex Pro pads. Now if you know anything about me, you know that I've been using Coho and Reebok pads for a long time. I had the 560s, 590s, P1s, several sets of P3s, P4s, and now I'm onto the CCMs. So I have a lot of experience with all of the lines of Coho and Reebok and how this has really continued into the CCM brand. I was really excited about these CCMs since it's a softer face pad, unlike the P4, which is much harder. So I was really excited to see how that would perform. And then I've been using the white set here, the demo set, for about a month and a half now. And I have to say, even though it's sized a little big for me, I've absolutely loved it. And that's why I went ahead and made an order for a custom set, which I've absolutely loved as well. So what I want to do here is I want to compare the CCM set to the P4s, and then I'm going to compare the demo set along with the custom set, because there are some differences from what you've probably seen in other reviews from the demo sets that were going around for the past few months. So we'll start with the blocker. The biggest difference between these blockers and the P4s that you've probably seen in the past is that the cuff right here is much more open in the CCMs. In the P4s, it was much more closed. I like a really open cuff. And that's why I've actually gone further by taking off. You can see it on the demo set. I actually cut this strap off, and I'll probably end up doing the same thing to my custom set. And I also take out the string that's on the cuff. It allows me much more wide-ranging flexibility and rotation for my stick hand. And I'm a very active goalie with my stick, so I want to make sure that I have as much mobility as possible in my blocker. There really isn't a whole lot much more of a difference between the P4 and the CCM. There are a couple smaller things, but they're not huge. One of them is on the index finger. On the demo set, you can't see it any longer. I'll show you here on the custom set in a second. There used to be another elastic band here that came down and attached itself to the other side of the index finger, between the index finger and the middle finger. And so what that did, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this on camera, but when I put my index finger down, it kind of rotates a little bit inward, if you will. And so you end up gripping your stick with the side of the finger. This has kind of been an issue with past Reebok gloves. Really, you don't even notice it when you're out there, but you notice it when your blocker is just on your hand, you're looking down, and you see that it's rotating. So what they did was they added another elastic band to the inside, and that way it stays straight. Now, what I found on the demo set is that the person who sewed that all together just went crazy. And so it had a huge buildup of thread, and so I had to take all that out. Because if you have something in between these two fingers and you're trying to grip a stick, it was really annoying. So I just went ahead and took that off. Had a friend patch it up for me because I took off a little too much. But I was wondering if the same thing would happen with this custom set, because one of the things that I did ask them was why they ended up doing it that way, and then I also expressed the issue that they went a little bit crazy on the inside. So I was very happy to see when I received my custom set that they had actually changed it. Now they still have the elastic, but they attached it to the upper portion of the finger, and that way it doesn't come down and interfere with your stick or interfere with the middle of your index in your middle finger. So it worked out really well, and now, if I show you here, when I move my finger down, it stays straight. So that's absolutely wonderful. Now another difference of the two blockers, and this one is purely cosmetic, is the Lefebvre patch. They actually went to a plastic, sort of a rubber or a plastic patch on this one. Looks kind of neat. They actually did away with that, and they went with a much more classy stitched portion. So it's no longer a patch like we're used to. It's just stitched right into the cuff, so I absolutely love that. So I'll tell you a little bit about the performance of the blocker. I've absolutely loved it, and it performs exactly the same as my old my P1. It performs the same as all of my P3s, the P4, and it is extremely well balanced and well protective. So what I want to do here is show you what I always do with my blockers, and that's the balance test. So what I do is I put the blocker on, and then I try to see where the balance point is. And you can see here that the balance point is very straight, maybe a little leaning towards the outside. And if you've ever seen my personal videos, you know that I angle my blocker outside in my stance. So this is perfectly fine for me. So you see it's extremely well balanced. It doesn't tin to the inside, it doesn't go to the outside, it just stays perfectly balanced. I absolutely love that. Another thing too is I've actually been hit right on the sidewall with a slap shot. Absolutely no pain whatsoever. You can see there's a lot of protection for your finger here, whether it's your index finger, has some protection here, here, on the front of your fingers. I mean, this thing is just a beast when it comes to protection. And I really like that the sidewall is extended as well. Gives you a little bit more room and a little bit more blocking surface area as well. And you know, since I'm one of those goalies who plays very much like Luongo or Jaguar, and I angle that blocker out, it increases my surface area very much, and it keeps me well protected still. So I've absolutely loved this blocker. All right, let's take a look at the gloves. Now, the glove is probably the most popular point of discussion for people who are considering CCM. Now, previous Reebok and Koho lines had what were called the 590 and the 580 brakes. The 580 was also used in the 560, so that's what I was really used to from growing up. I never quite got that comfortable in the 590 brake. It actually felt more comfortable whenever I was in my stance, but when it went to catching things, it was just never quite there. And so I had a lot of pop-outs, and I actually used it all through college, and it was okay, but still I had some pop-outs, I had some trouble with it. So in my past few sets, as you've probably seen on my YouTube videos, my Revoke set, my P4 set, and a couple of my P3 sets were all the 580 brake. But I was really excited to see the CCM brake. And the reason why is because even though I was used to the 580 brake, it just never really felt that comfortable, especially when you close the glove. So I wanted to see what it was like using the CCM glove. And I have to say that I am probably the most pleasantly surprised by the glove. Now the demo set here is actually a Pro glove, so it has Pro protection. It looks a little bit bigger, if you can compare it a little bit to this one, which is the Game Ready. But I absolutely love this. This actually came out of the box, this mobile, and I'll do the same with the Game Ready here in a second. Absolutely wonderful. It does not take any time whatsoever to break this in. In fact, I didn't even break it in at all. I just went straight into a game with it, and it works out great. Now, you of course have to break in this area a little bit for shooting the puck, but otherwise, I didn't have a problem with it whatsoever. Coming from the 590 and the 580, I get a lot of questions about how to compare them, and honestly, I'm terrible at comparing them. I absolutely love this brake. What I kind of say is that it's a little bit of both of them. It's the comfort in the stance of the 590, it's the comfort in the brake of the 580. So, you know, I really like, you know, how this really works. I haven't had a pop out yet. You can see lots of puck marks. They pretty much all go straight into the pocket, and it works out wonderful. So I haven't had any problems whatsoever. Now I'll compare it to this one, which is Game Ready. This one I've used exactly one time so far, and perfect. Not a problem at all getting that closed. You can see that in many of my videos, and I've been asked about this as well, why do I do that? And that's just to open up the pocket a little bit more. You don't really have to do that. It's more of a mental thing and a timing thing for me. So comparing these two gloves, there's not a lot of a difference here as well. So again, we have the Lefebvre stitched in over here, and you see it's not a patch. Here it was a patch that was more rubberized. You can go either way. I think this is much classier, especially on a custom set, so I absolutely love that. The only other real differences have to do with this side. This is now a Velcro closure, and over here on the custom set we now see that they kind of went back to the P4 closure, and I think my P3s and my P1 were the same way, where it's more of this string closure. It's really just up to preference. I don't mind it either way. The only other real difference, and this one's not a huge one, is this buckle that's right here. It's a smaller buckle in this one, and if I open up the side of this, you'll now see that this one is a huge industrial sized buckle. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that on camera, but the buckles are just a little bit different. There's not a whole lot of difference. Now, there is one thing that I'm still pretty upset about with this glove, and that is that the quick release strap is gone. And you can see that some goalies in the NHL still have it, like Holtby, and I was really looking forward to keeping that strap. The quick release strap, if you don't know, was a little hole that was about right here, and you'd be able to take this strap that is for your wrist. It went through there, and then you'd be able to pull that mid-game. And that way I was able to keep it as tight as I could mid-game, just in case it got loose. And they did away with that. Now, admittedly, I'm still very upset that that's gone. Granted, I could still put it back in myself if I wanted to and just sew it up. But I wish that that was still an option on the glove. But otherwise, I don't have any problems whatsoever with this glove, and I really like it, both over the 590 and over the 580 break. I definitely recommend this glove, even if you're not a Reebok person, or if you're, if you like another manufacturer, you have to try out these gloves. They're definitely the best and most comfortable gloves I have ever used in my entire life. I love them, and I can't say any more about them. As you can see, we're on to the leg pads, and there's not a whole lot of difference between this demo set and the custom set. There is about an inch of a difference because I needed a little bit less. So these demo pads are about 36 plus 2, and these are 36 plus 1. Now, one of the biggest questions I get is how tall am I and what's my ankle to knee? They're trying to size them themselves, and I'm a little bit different than a lot of people. So my ankle to knee is 17.5, which really equates to about a 33-inch pad. And I'm 5'11" on a good day, so I'm not a particularly tall person. So how am I able to wear a 36-inch pad? The reason why is because I used oversized knee guards. I used those old Jiggy and Luongo ones that are built straight into my pants, and I had them sewn on. So they're massive, they are absolutely huge, and they keep me on the knee block. When I had my P4s and they were 33 plus 3.5, I would slip off the knee block like crazy, and I never understood why. Until I got these 36 plus 2 pads, and I swore right from the beginning, they're just way too big. I'm not going to be able to play in them. And yet I was able to play with them for a month and a half. They were a little tall, so when I got my custom set, I got an inch less, but I never slipped off the knee block here. And that's because of my oversized knee guards. So, it really depends on your knee guards about what size you should get. I'm 5'11", 17.5 ankle to knee, but I wear a 36-inch pad, which is probably about 3 inches way too big for me. And yet it still works out fine. So it's really up to personal preference. I would definitely recommend going into a retailer and trying them on. And put on your pants, put on your knee guards, and then try them on. That way you'll make sure. So, a little bit about the pads. When I first got them and I used them for the first time, I really didn't notice that much of a difference between these and the P4s. They both seem to react the same, and so I didn't really, see a huge benefit. Now, all of that changed my second time out. I worked on the pads a little bit, just making sure that the brakes are, nice and flexible. I sit on them, I kind of roll back and forth, I bounce on them, and my second time out, it was just a world of a difference, and in a great way. So the biggest difference that I found is that these are much, much softer than the P4s. The P4 has a very hard face, and so you're going to get very strong rebounds out. And I used to think that I would really like that, and that's what I grew up on. The 560s, those of course were soft. But when they started going to the 570 and the 580 pads, those were a little bit harder. Obviously with the 590 and the P1s, those were extremely hard, and so that's what I was used to. And that's what I thought I liked. All that changed when I got these CCMs. From both sets, it's a very, very soft face. They have the knee rolls that are soft as well, and you can actually push down on the face, and you can see that it deadens those rebounds. So when you're watching my personal videos, you can definitely see that there's a huge difference between even the Revokes and the P4s and the P3s about how the rebounds reacted off of these pads. Now I've only used these once, so these are still a little bit on the hard side, even though I can push down both on the knee rolls and I can push down pretty hard just on the flat face. These are much softer since I've used these over the course of about a month and a half or so, but these are going to soften up as well, and I really enjoyed them the other day when I was using them. Along the same lines, I also want to point out some areas of flexibility that they've worked on, and this is particularly in the boot area. But I also like the single break in the knee area, and I'll show you that as well. So the knee area, and this is just for me, pushing down a little bit, you can see there's quite a bit of flex there. And this is a single break pad. This is straight, so it's not a pre-curve, and this is exactly what I like. It gives you a little bit more flexibility there. You can see here in the boot area, you have a lot of flexibility as well. And that's what I like, since I have a very low stance that sits high on my boot, and it works out wonderful. Now, the strapping that I've gotten is the adjustable, because I always like to play with things. So if I want to move this strap up, if I want to take some of these straps out, I can certainly do that. I definitely recommend that for your average beer leaguer. If you don't know what you like, or even if you do know what you like but you want to try out new things, get the adjustable strapping. You can always change it. You can take things out, hide the strap, whatever you want to do, and that way you find out what you really like best. There are too many guys out there who aren't good enough, who get fixed strapping thinking that they're going to like it, and they don't. And suddenly they need a new pad because that strapping doesn't work for them. So I definitely recommend getting the adjustable straps. Now, you'll also notice that in a lot of my older videos, like in the P3s and the P4, I had a very open leg channel. And I actually really liked my Revoke leg channel, which is a much more closed leg channel. And so I got the same thing in the CCMs. I really like how this is moved inward. It's really flush on my calf. It plays really close to my leg, even though it's sitting up on my boot. And I have that flexibility, so I'm able to get very low in my stance. So I had this nice combination between where it's staying very close to my leg, but still allowing me a lot of flexibility and a lot of rotation at the same time. Now, one other thing that I really like to do with these pads, since they are a little big for my knees, but they're perfect for my knee guards, is I like to angle this downward. So for a lot of goalies, this is in the middle, it'll connect to the middle. I actually like to angle it down a little bit, and then I angle it up on this side, and that way it allows me a lot more area for my oversized knee guards. So that's just another little tip or suggestion that I really like. Now you can see here, this is actually what I like for my strapping. So this is a 5-5-3-5-2. So what that allows me to do is a lot of rotation up top with the 5-5. This is a little tighter on my calf. This one is open again. So that's still allowing me a lot of rotation in my lower boot as well. And this is what really keeps the pad on my leg, right here, and then along with the elastic straps that's in my knee and the calf area. So again, I'm having that combination of very close to my leg, but still allowing me a lot of looseness, a lot of flexibility, and that way the pad moves with me as I'm in my low stance, my low style. I'm able to move around the crease and still get a lot of great coverage for my 5-hole. So the only other thing I want to point out are the differences between these two different leg pads, between the demo set and between my custom set. Now, besides the 1 inch that I got taken off, these are 36+2, these are 36+1, there's not a whole lot of difference. In fact, I wasn't able to find any structural difference. Again, we have the difference in the, it's no longer a tag, so it's just built, or it's just stitched right in, whereas here had more of a rubberized tag. Another thing here is purely cosmetic. The CCM is a little high, almost in the middle of the thigh rise. On this one, you can see it's actually low, so it's just above the knee guard area. The only other difference that I actually got here is I actually really like this demo set and how it's set up in the knee area. This is the new soft recessed knee. So it's actually very flush with the rest of the pad. I absolutely love that, and I wish I would have gotten that in this. But unfortunately that slipped my mind on what that was called at the time, so I just got the usual new P4 knee that had just come out. So this is just the soft knee. Now, one kind of neat thing, if I really wanted to, I could take it out. And it's not easily removable. I just have to get scissors or a knife or something and hope that I don't screw up my own pad. But if I actually lift that up and I feel underneath of it, it's just this material right here. So as long as I don't want any nash, or perhaps if I just went ahead and put the nash straight on the pad and sewed that in, I could do that. So I could really change this soft knee into the soft recessed knee, and there would be very few differences. So that is the CCM Extreme Flex Pro pads. I absolutely love them. And it's it's pretty much a given that I'm going to like them, considering, I've used Coho and Reebok since I was about 16. So, but really it exceeded my expectations. I like the softer face pad. I love how it plays. I love the plus sizing that I got. I finally feel comfortable in a pad. My P4s, I never quite felt comfortable in them because of the knee block issue, and also because, a couple issues with the glove here and there, but I've had zero issues whatsoever with these pads, and I've really enjoyed them. So, thanks to Reebok and CCM for allowing me to review these pads, and you're going to see many more videos coming up, especially through this season and next season with these pads and my team, the Dodes, who play in St. Louis. So you're going to see a lot more videos. So stay tuned to the Goalie Crease Network for more reviews, and stay tuned to my personal YouTube channel for more game video, and we'll see you around.